It's been a while since we had our last corporate profile here on BNL, so it's time for another one. This week we trace the brief history of the leading cigarette brand in the country, Philip Morris, and where it is now.
Philip Morris is undoubtedly the global leader in cigarette manufacturing, and it certainly has a big presence here in the country. BNL talked with Mr. Dave Gomez, communications manager of this company, which has since changed its corporate name. Dave tells us a brief history of their company.
So our company in the Philippines is called PMFTC Inc. Our business actually started in the Philippines back in the 1950s when our flagship brand Marlboro was introduced into the market. And for several decades, Marlboro was being manufactured in partnership with a local cigarette manufacturing company at that time. In the 90s, I think middle of the 90s, we took over sales and marketing operations from that local partner, and we formed Philip Morris Philippines. And after several years, Philip Morris Philippines, which was an affiliate of Philip Morris International, made the decision to invest in a factory here in the Philippines. So that was the single biggest investment at that time, and we opened the factory in 2003. That's in Tanawan, Batangas. Then a few years later, we decided to combine our business with Fortune Tobacco Corporation, the #1 local tobacco company at that time, in 2010, to form what is now known as PMFTC Inc.
PMFTC stands for Philip Morris Fortune Tobacco Corporation, from the merger of the global leader and our own Fortune Tobacco Corporation. When the brand Marlboro was introduced in the Philippines back in the 50s, it was then a new product. Over the years, it became #1 globally. Soon after, the company introduced its new menthol product, Philip Morris 100s.
Our brands were more on the premium side of the portfolio. And then when we combined our business with the #1 local company Fortune, Fortune is now the #1 cigarette brand in terms of volume nationwide. No? So we now have a complete portfolio of products. No?
Marlboro's success in the market became phenomenal, but very few know that this brand was originally positioned as a cigarette for ladies.
Going back in history, in the 50s, as I said, Marlboro wasn't the #1 brand right away. In fact, Marlboro was introduced as a cigarette brand for women until somewhere in the 60s or 70s, if I'm not mistaken, when one of our advertising agency, Leo Burnett, our global advertising agency, developed this Marlboro Cowboy campaign, and which became, as you know now, the iconic Marlboro Cowboy, and that led to the growth of Marlboro to become the #1 cigarette brand in the world. So it didn't start off as a very big brand. In fact, it started as a cigarette brand for women, but now it has grown into what is now known as the world's #1 cigarette brand.
That advertising slant he'd grow the brand and spurred Philip Morris International to become the global leader in the industry. However, the company and the industry in general have been besieged with huge problems that continue to threaten their relevance to modern society. The age of health consciousness amongst a more vigilant population.
In the 90s, if you're familiar, we encountered several problems internationally. We faced lawsuits in the United States regarding smoking and health issues. In the early 2000s, we came out in the open as a company, admitting to the health risks associated to our product. And by way of regulation, we volunteered ourselves, our industry, to regulation because we believe our products, we produce a very risky product, and therefore government should be able to regulate the sale and use of our products. That's our first challenge in terms of regulation. In the Philippines, until most recently, we had a very huge tax increase in 2013, an excise tax increase, and we had to deal with some unintended consequences of that tax increase, among which is the rise in illicit trade in cigarettes because of the market being conducive to the selling of cheaper cigarettes. No? So those are our challenges, and as a controversial industry like the cigarette industry, we're never out of challenges. We always face challenges. That's part of our life.
The company PMFTC certainly has a bigger share of challenges than other companies, but their corporate social responsibility continues to grow and bid well for the company. Ms. Varina Elero Tinga is the Director for External Affairs, and this award for Global CS Excellence and Leadership speaks volumes about how this lady takes on the task of developing the company's CSR seriously. There is an Asia CEO Award naming them as Company of the Year for 2015. Another award for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, citing them for Best Community Program for 2013 for exemplifying the highest ideals in corporate citizenship. A Fleet Safety Award in 2014 from the Motivational Programs Philippines. An award for Best Overall Practices from Global CSR Excellence and Leadership. And a Philippine Quill Award in 2014, among many others. PMFTZ is one of our biggest companies here in terms of employment and assets.
Currently, we have a little over 5,000 in terms of employees spread throughout the country. Our head office is located here in Metro Manila, in Makati, and we have one manufacturing facility, as I mentioned earlier, in Batangas, Tanawan, Batangas, and the other one is in Marikina. We have a STEMery facility in Northern Luzon. We have an international warehouse in Subic Bay. This acts as a hub for our importation of tobacco leaf. And we have more than 40 sales offices throughout the archipelago.
And as health advocates continue to challenge the company's relevance here in the country, our local tobacco farmers likewise continue to defend their sector of the industry.
We also contract directly tobacco farmers in the north and some in Claveria, Misamis Oriental, in the south, and in Mindoro. We have a total of 5,000 contracted farmers now.
That was the Philip Morris Fortune Tobacco Corporation, our feature for this week's Corporate Profile.